So I noticed on the internet lately that y'all been talking about the Cheetah Girls, especially around the announcement of Cheetah Girls 4 and the casting of this movie. And I just want to talk about the Cheetah Girls because I can totally tell that some of y'all have not kept up with the Cheetah Girls. And I don't mean like the movies or the books. I actually mean the people who played the Cheetah Girls, the actual actresses slash singers. Yeah, you have not kept up with them. So I'm going to explain that to you, what the Cheetah Girls have been up to as people in their careers. I'm gonna explain that. I'm also gonna talk about why they don't like each other and why we probably never gonna get the OG 4 Cheetah Girls from the movies in a movie together ever again. And also, yes, y'all, there were books. I don't know how y'all didn't know that. Now, I granted did not know that when I first watched the Cheetah Girls way back when it first premiered on Disney Channel back in August of 2003. I was a millennial. I was like 11 years old and I was so excited because Raven was in it and then 3LW was in it, and I was like, okay, period. So I watched that and was so excited, and it was such a great time. Okay. And then that year in 6th grade, I ended up in my class. We had like, it was me and these 3 other black girls, and we used to play the Cheetah Girls at recess. Guess who I had to be every single time? Dorinda. And I hated it because I don't like Dorinda. Dorinda was such an annoying, pointless character. But anyways, I'm going to explain that, and then also I'm going to talk about the Cheetah Girls 4 because I have thoughts. So let's get into it. So first off, what have the Cheetah Girls actually been up to? And I don't mean the characters, I mean the actual actresses slash singers. So let's start with the OG Cheetah Girl, Miss Galleria Garibaldi herself, aka Raven. Okay, now since Disney, she had Raven's Home, which was the sequel series slash like rebooty slash whatever series that was on Disney Channel for a hot minute with Raven and her kids and Chelsea and her son and all that stuff. And so that was a pretty good series actually. And she did that for a while. And now she does this podcast with her wife. And I think she does some other Disney Channel projects. I think she has like production credits on some stuff on Disney Channel. And I know she's been doing some other acting projects on other things as well. And yeah, she now has locks, which is fun. And she is going to be, I think it's an executive producer on the Cheetah Girls 4. And she's also going to star in it. So I'm going to guess that she's one of the Cheetah Girls' mom. So I think Galleria has a daughter, if I'm not mistaken. But that's basically what Raven's been up to recently. And yeah, so we love you, Raven. And if Raven is signed on to Cheetah Girls 4, it can't be all bad, but we'll get into that. Now we got to talk about Miss Adrienne Bailon. And it's Bailon, not Bailon. And it's Adrienne Bailon Houghton because she's married now to this guy named Israel Houghton. And after Cheetah Girls, she did a bunch of stuff, and then she ended up on The Real, which was a talk show. And then she got married, and now she does like music again, actually. And she's been doing music with her husband, and they do like more like Christian music, churchy music, whatever, some music in Spanish. And I think she does like fashion stuff too. I don't really know. And she's just doing her thing. And she had a child. She had a son. And so yeah, she's out here doing her thing. She references the Cheetah Girls like all the time now. Whenever she's on a trip or whenever she's just doing something that like she thinks is like Cheetah Girl-ish, she'll just reference it. So yeah. Sabrina Bryant, she is out here. She actually does a podcast as well, but it's more like Disney Channel related. And so she does a podcast with Will Friedle. If you don't know who that is, he played Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World and also Ron Stoppable in Kim Possible. And he did like a bunch of different voices for different cartoons. And his most notable one is Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond. But anyways, they do a podcast together called the Magical Rewind Podcast, and it's basically where they watch Disney Channel original movies and like Disney Channel Magical World of Disney movies and stuff like that. And they kind of like go over them, rate them, talk to like the actors who were in those movies and everything. It's pretty cool if you're into like nostalgia and stuff. It's pretty cool. Otherwise, I think she has kids. and she's the one who's mostly still friends with Keely Williams. And she was at one time she was on Dancing with the Stars, and yeah. So that's all I really know about her, but yeah. And now you have Keely, and Keely's not doing really anything. Okay, no offense, but she's not really doing anything. She just is a mom now, and that's about that. Okay, the most like notable thing people talk about when it comes to Keely is after the Cheetah Girls, she did this terrible song, and I just it's hilarious if you've never heard it, and it's something called like spectacular something whatever. Look it up on the internet. You will have a laugh. It is really bad, and it is just really, it's an interesting choice that she made at that time. But this was like over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever, that she did this. But since then, she's just had kids. She's friends with Sabrina. That's all I can give you because she ain't doing much. Now, like I said, Sabrina Bryant and Keely Williams are like besties, but Adrienne Bailon does not like Keely Williams, and actually that stems back to 3LW days. And even though Adrienne had a lot to do with what happened with Notori during 3LW days, now her and Notori are friends, so they're cool now, and she's not cool with Keely. And so during the pandemic, Raven and Keely got onto an Instagram Live together, and they kind of hashed out all the issues that they had and why Raven wasn't in Cheetah Girls 3 and all that stuff. And then she, at the end of it, Raven told Keely that she was going to have to make amends with Adrienne if they ever wanted the Cheetah Girls to get back together, and Keely said no. And so now that's kind of at limbo, and Adrienne and Raven said that they would only do a Cheetah Girls if both of them are in it, like each other's in it. And then Keely won't do it because Adrienne's mad at her, and I don't know where Sabrina is with all of this, but yeah, it's a jumbled mess. So as we know, this is what the OG movie Cheetah Girls looked like. This is what the OG book version of the Cheetah Girls was supposed to look like. And I know y'all are confused who never read the books, but there was 5 Cheetah Girls originally. And it's because Aqua, Keely's character, was supposed to have a twin sister. And Adrienne Bailon's character of Chanel was supposed to be Afro-Latina. So see, that's why y'all are confused. Aqua had a twin sister named Angie, and that's why y'all are confused. So this is what the new Cheetah Girls 4 cast looks like, I think. I don't know if this is fully confirmed, but this is what it's supposed to look like, I guess. And people are mad because there's not enough black girls in this version, and I get that. Because in the book, all the girls are black, or at least Afro something, like they're Afro-Latina, or they're biracial, or they're whatever, right? And in this version, it's too much multiculturalism and not enough black girls, right? And so people are up in arms about it, and I completely understand why. Because listen, the whole purpose of the Cheetah Girls when we were growing up was to have representation for black girls, really, because that was kind of going out of style during the time of the Cheetah Girls. Like, that was kind of the last little bit of what it was. And Whitney Houston was a part of helping to executive produce that and everything, and so it was a big deal. But now we have this, and I understand them trying to be diverse. I understand them trying to bring diversity into the Cheetah Girls, because that was kind of the whole purpose of it or whatever. But at the end of the day, it was for the black girls, okay? It really was. So I understand people being frustrated with this casting and everything, but I don't know, because I can't tell if they can sing or not, because I don't think I've heard any of these girls sing before. And that's really what matters. At the end of the day, that's what matters, is can these girls sing? That is the number one most important thing, because as a Cheetah Girl, you have to be able to sing. Point blank. So outside of Leah Savah Jeffries, who we know is playing Annabelle in the Percy Jackson series on Disney+, we don't know any of the other girls. And we don't actually know if Leah can sing. So that doesn't really help us in that department. Number one. Number two, listen, I never hated Dorinda in the original Cheetah Girls because she was white. I never hated her for that reason, okay? Never, 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 ever, ever. I hated her because she was annoying. Like, she was annoying. And she always complained about everything. And she always used the fact that she was poor and didn't know who her mommy was as her little crutch all the time. And it really annoyed me, okay? And then she was just annoying. She was just annoying all the time, right? And so that was why she was annoying. It had nothing to do with the fact she was white, because I didn't really care. Because there were three other people of color slash black girls. Okay, you had Raven, you had Keely, the two black girls, right? But Raven's character, Galleria, was mixed. She was half Italian, half black, okay? Or half black, half Italian. And then Keely's character was from Houston, Texas. And she, of course, was, you know, monoracial black. And then you had Adrian's character, Chanel, who was supposed to be the Afro-Latina, but then she was just, I'm a mixture of all these different kinds of Latina. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's cool, you know? And I like her character, right? And I like almost all of them except for Dorinda because she's annoying. But, like, I just don't understand why we have to have such diversity in these movies, why we can't just have black people in a movie together, black girls in a movie together. Because I think the reason that people are having such an issue with this whole entire casting right now is because of the fact that right now in Hollywood, there's an epidemic going on. And it's where all we're getting in movies these days is biracial or racially ambiguous black girls or black women in movies. And we are not having a lot of monoracial parts for black girls and black women in movies anymore. And that's not okay. Okay? Because we do need to have that more. In the 90s, we were abundant with it, okay? And we just don't have that anymore, and it's sad. So that's why a lot of people are up in arms about it, because they want more monoracial black stories, right? With black girls or black boys or black women or black men who are black American, monoracial, that's it, right? And this is not it. This is not what it's giving. And, you know, I'm not one to say that I don't like diversity, because obviously I do. I think diversity is a great thing. But could we have a little darker of a shade when it comes to these characters? And also, I've heard from people that the whole, like, script or, like, the whole synopsis of what Cheetah Girls 4 is going to be doesn't even feel like a Cheetah Girls movie. It just feels like something that they wrote, couldn't get it produced or couldn't get it made. And they were like, oh, this could be a Cheetah Girls, and just gave it to them. And because Raven is also doing, like, a lot of producing and stuff with Disney Channel right now, they probably were like, hey, Raven, you want to do, you know, whatever? And she was probably like, okay, fine. And now she's part of the movie, which is fine. I mean, that's cool, whatever. And there's, like, rumors that Adrienne Bailon is also going to be part of this movie, so that's cool. But a lot of y'all are like, yeah, we just don't want this because we just don't want to have a new Cheetah Girls. We just want the OGs. And I'm sorry to tell you, but you are not going to get the OGs to come back together in a movie, like, ever. They won't even come together as a group, like, off the movie and just, like, as people. They won't even come together as a group because they mad at each other. And the thing about it is, for a lot of y'all who are maybe like Gen Z or Grand Alpha who don't know the history of the Cheetah Girls very well, the Cheetah Girls doesn't start with the Cheetah Girls. The Cheetah Girls starts with 3LW. That's what some of you don't understand, is that if we don't fix what happened with 3LW back in the day and what happened with Naturi and Keely and Adrian, who, like I said, Adrian and Naturi are friends now. Adrian has behind the scenes apologized to Naturi, but also on the reel when she came on to do some kind of promotion. I think it was for Power. And she came on there and Adrian fully apologized to her, you know, on TV. And that's something that Keely just won't do. Her and her sister slash manager slash aunt slash caretaker slash whatever she is, they won't apologize to Naturi. They will never see fault in what they actually did to Naturi. I think Adrian finally does, even though she had a part to play in all of this. I think she finally sees the error of her ways and how they were stupid kids and that what she did was not okay, and that Yeah, and especially because Naturi was actually supposed to be in the Cheetah Girls, not Keely. Yeah, she was actually supposed to be Aqua. Then she didn't end up because she got kicked out of the group. So then it was supposed to be Solange, who was actually supposed to be Aqua. But then, Solange was out here being, the teen pop R&B star that she was at the time, and she was heavily under her father's thumb, so she was not going to be a Cheetah Girl. And so it ended up being Keely. But she was only given the, role because of default. So at the end of the day, if the wounds that 3LW have are not fixed and solved, we are never getting a Cheetah Girls reunion. And that just is what it is. So at the end of the day, I think the number one thing that we all have to just wait and see about is, number one, can these, girls sing? That is the number one thing that matters. And then if they can't really sing, then we can really have a conversation about whether we really care. And also, for a lot of us millennials and elder Gen Zs, I know we have opinions about this because the Cheetah Girls were our movies, our books. Okay, I get that. But like most reboots and most, sequels and most whatever that come out real later on after a series is already finished, and they try to make a new series or a new, movie or whatever for the new generation, we have to understand that these are not for us. These are not for us, and it's okay. It's truly okay. We have the Cheetah Girls 1, the Cheetah Girls 2. If you even consider the Cheetah Girls 3 a movie, cool with you. But we have those, and that's what it is, and we don't need to even fully care about what the Cheetah Girls 4 is going to do, because this is not for us. At the end of the day, it's not for us. Now, if we watch it and it's actually really good, then cool, 100% cool. But at the end of the day, this is not for us. This is for the kids, and we need to remember that. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents on the Cheetah Girls as a nostalgic person who was around during all of this. I was around during the 3LW days. I was around during the OG Cheetah Girl days. And I've been around and I've paid attention, and I know what's been going on with these girls. And I know that they will probably never, in actuality, come out and actually have, any kind of reconciling. And I wish they would. I wish some of them would get off their high horse, Keely Williams. But some of y'all are not going to do that. So unfortunately, we may never get a full reunion of the Cheetah Girls. And we're going to have to just put that to rest, be nostalgic and reminisce on the Cheetah Girls that we got. And that's that at this point, okay? And with this movie, again, we have to wait and see if they can sing. And if they can, cool. If they can't, okay. And then remember, this is not for us. This is for the kids. And we have our Cheetah Girls. And that's it. That's all we can do. As millennials and elder Gen Z, that is all we can truly do. So I'm just going to wait to see if they can sing and see if that helps at all. And if not, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. This is for the kids. And I don't need to, be so harsh on a movie that isn't even for me. Okay? Because I will always have the Cheetah Girls 1 and the Cheetah Girls 2. I will always have Barcelona. But yeah. Okay? So that's all I have to say about it. I absolutely love the Cheetah Girls, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and I always will love them. But this is not for me, If it's really good, cool. If it's not for me. It's just not for me. So I hope and pray that one day we can have all 4 Cheetah Girls in a room together, singing, dancing, getting along. I think that's a hope and a prayer that may never come true, but for what we have it. So that's all I can really say at this point. So we'll see what comes down the pipeline.